Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. Today's date is Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Call to order, please.
Gomez? Here. McGivern?
Here.
Eaton?
Here.
Hestetti?
Here.
Kretz? Excused. Franken excused. Eaton? Or, I'm sorry, Adams?
Here.
We have quorum.
Very good. First item, Secretary's report, consideration of the August 13, 2024 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
We can do all in favor.
Or, excuse
for
me,
this
all in
one.
favor, that's right.
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Moving on then to communications.
Yes, so first I'd like to welcome our 3 new Historic Preservation Commissioners. So Jeffrey Gomez, George Eaton, and David Adams. I think we'll do a brief introduction probably at the end of the meeting following our business. So just a reminder, so we have our last downtown Davenport architectural walking tour, which will be on Thursday, October 10th at 10 a.m. So it's free and open to the public. So we have a local historian that'll take people around and kind of point out the history and architecture of downtown. And it starts at the main library. So please encourage family and friends to attend. And then the Gold Coast Hamburg Historic District is doing their tour of homes this Saturday and Sunday from noon to 4. So Michael was kind enough to give me a postcard of the event. So it looks like tickets are $15, children are free. So I think what I'll do is I'll scan this and I'll send an email to the commission so that way everyone has the dates if they're interested.
Right, they made the comment that you can attend by going to any of the houses and start there. You don't have to go to one particular house to start. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Yes, you would know. Is your house involved?
We're not on, but I'm a co-chair, so.
Well, awesome. So that's all I have for communication.
All for today. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Matt. Any old business? Was anything tabled from previous meetings?
None.
Nothing? Seeing none, we move to new business. First item, excellent. Case COA 2416, request for the installation of a new roof at 628 Ripley Street. The William H. and Emma A. Reusser House is located within the Hamburg Local Landmark Historic District. David LaRock is the petitioner. Dennis is here on behalf of the petitioner.
All right, so the Reusser House, so it's located on the corner of 7th Street and Ripley. It's a home that was built in 1896. It's a Queen Anne residence, and it's listed as a contributing structure in the Hamburg Historic District. So today's request is to install a new roof and gutters. So the existing roof on the home is a asphalt shingle product. The proposed replacement product is Owens Corning True Definition Duration Shingle. So the scope of work is basically a complete removal of the existing shingle, repairing any decking and sheeting underneath, installing new underlayment, and then installing the new asphalt shingle product, as well as a gutter system. So here's just a couple photos of the home in its current condition. I know it's a little tough to see on the projector. So city staff consider this to be a replacement in kind. So with that, staff is making a recommendation to approve the certificate of appropriateness as presented. So we've reviewed the project for conformance with our historic preservation ordinance, and it meets the following standards. The first being that every reasonable effort be made to make the minimum number of changes necessary to keep the property in a good state of repair. And second, that deteriorated features, where replacement is required, the new features should match the old in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions, concerns, comments from the commission? Hearing none, could I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve such staff recommendation.
In a second?
Second.
Matt, roll call, please.
Hostetti,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Gomez,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
and Eaton.
Yes.
The motion passes, and we move on to the next case. Case COA 2417, a request for the installation of a new roof at 709 Brown Street. The William H. Weiss residence is located within the Hamburg Local Landmark Historic District. Don Santiago is the petitioner. Matt?
Okay, so 709 Brown Street. So it's located on the corner of Brown and 7th Street. So it's the William H. Weiss residence. So he's a prominent manufacturer in the city of Davenport for the American Biscuit Company and also a financer. So this home was constructed in 1895. Building materials consist of brick and stucco and a prominent clay tile roof. So I want to go over a little bit of the history of this project over the last few years. So the existing clay tile roof was damaged during the August 2020 derecho. It's a French clay tile. At that time, the homeowner submitted a certificate of appropriateness to the commission to remove and replace the existing clay tile, repair the underlayment underneath, and then to install new clay tile, trying to reuse as much of the existing material as possible. So that project was approved in 2021. So these three photos before you kind of show a little bit of the timeline of how that project progressed and then led us to today. So the photo on the left is from 2020 before the derecho. Then the homeowner received their certificate of appropriateness. Work started on the home. That center photo is of May 2022, where the home was tarped. There was a bit of a dispute between the homeowner and the contractor, and that work was never completed. So that photo on the right shows it in April of 23, and you can kind of see, even just from an aerial photo, some of the damage to the roof that was never repaired. Which leads us to today's request, is to completely remove the French clay tile and then to install a new asphalt architectural shingle roof. So the rationale for this request, one really is affordability. So the homeowner was given a bid to replace with French clay tile of just over $400,000, as compared to the asphalt shingle roof estimate, which was $37,000. And then challenges finding contractors that can perform the French clay tile replacement. So the proposed scope of work is outlined in the bid. Similar to our first item, it's really complete removal of the material, repairing the underlayment and any damage to the roof structure, installing new ice shields, and then installing a new asphalt shingle roof over it. So while city staff is definitely sympathetic to cost burden, we do have to analyze the project for conformance with the historic preservation ordinance. So the historic property inventory sheet does identify the red clay tile as a defining architectural feature. So asphalt shingles do not match the design, color, texture, or visual qualities of a clay tile. And without the clay tile roof, the character of the home is diminished. We also looked at the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation to see what type of guidance they have for roof replacement. So they do not recommend the following. So that would be radically changing, damaging, or destroying roofs that are important in defining the overall historic character of the building, so that as a result, the character is diminished. Does not recommend removing a major portion of the roof or material that's repairable, then reconstructing it with a new material in order to create a uniform or improved appearance. And finally, it does not recommend stripping a roof of sound historic materials such as slate, clay tile, wood, and architectural metal. So with that, city staff is making a recommendation to deny the application. So when reviewed for conformance with our historic preservation ordinance, it does not meet the following standard. And that is deteriorated features should, where possible, be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement, the new feature should match the old in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features shall be substantiated by documentary, physical, or pictorial evidence.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. This is a more challenging proposal before the commission. Reactions? Yeah, Dawn, would you like to come forward, or would both of you like to come forward to the podium, please? And if you stand right at the podium, the mic above you will pick up your voice for the recording. Okay.
And we had good intentions, and we actually have lots of material that we have on our property of getting it repaired with the clay tile. Our first contractor, I emailed him a lot of the emails with our contractors, the difficulties that we had with them. The first contractor, we said $36,000. He never showed up again. We have $27,000 worth of brick that we matched the roof out there on the, it was on the street. We ended up moving it to the end of the property. And then later we hired another. Well, there were differences. We couldn't use that tile when we hired another contractor because that tile never matched the tile on the roof. We have all that tile that's worthless.
When you say it doesn't match, in what ways?
We have French clay tile and those are Spanish clay tile, so they make roof like this, but the ones on the roof.
Okay, so you
So they
couldn't,
don't
put
match.
the two
They
together?
can't. No, they can't match up, and it wasn't enough to do the entire roof. So even if you tried to put it together, like we did do some repairs so we can stop the leaks. It looks crazy from the street, because the lines hurt, and it doesn't look like a straight line anymore. So the house is not as pretty as it was because of that. So we did hire a third contractor, and at the end, he hammered the bricks coming down, and he wanted to do the whole, and he cut a hole in the roof, and like he didn't understand the roof was solid, the wood and everything is the way that it's made. You probably never have to repair it again. It's just not like plywood or anything. It's sound stable wood, but he cut a hole in it, and my husband pointed it out, and he didn't like that. So on the way down, we had video. Well, we have cameras around there, so he hammered it on the way down, and we have this. We continue to have leaks. So
I mean, we had, as you saw, the tarp. I had a long discussion with him not to cut anything. I'm like, this is a historical house. You can't just go out and buy this type of lumber at a Home Depot. We need to sit down and discuss, and you need to show me before you make any cuts. Unfortunately, I was at work. Pretty handy. I got up there and I actually crawled into a crawl space, looked up, there was a big hole. He literally just put tile over a hole and cut out a big portion. I wish I would have made some copies of the picture. This whole project has been like a nightmare.
contacted our lawyer, but we just pay him. I don't feel like he's doing anything. He's just pulling us along, and we haven't heard anything for a couple of years. And that tarp actually stayed on the roof till it started peeling off, because after, it's very hard to find a contractor that actually wants to work on, or can work on the clay tile roof. And when we did find one, he just took the money. The second one was like, hey, I'm from the Quad Cities. I've been here 100 years, and I've been doing roofs, and we believed him, and didn't he do more damage. So then we had to contact a roofer from Texas. He came out, and that's when they gave us high, bids for that. We contacted a guy in Des Moines, see if, they have clay tile roofs, if anyone can, we're trying to keep with the aesthetics of the house as much as we can. And when I initially put the application in, I was like, we can go with shingles. I'm tired of it, if we can just preserve the house on the inside. As the roof, what's his name? I forgot his name. The roofer hammered it. Okay, as he, Schwartz, as he finished the roof, he hammered it around the chimney. So we had, from the damage of the storm, we did lots of repairs because there were leaks throughout the house. So the damage that he created undid a lot of the work that we did inside the house. So the roof fell in again in the bathroom. So we had to redo that in the bedrooms. It looks like blood coming down the walls from the chimney, the red clay coming down.
Tarps everywhere, pools to catch the running water. Worried about that going up there, cleaning, and like, we can't keep spending money, like, finishing these rooms, and then we get more damage.
Yeah.
So the initial application, when I contacted, I was saying, thinking of suggesting asphalt shingles, and he sent me a link, and I said, I'll contact the roofer that we got in contact with, and he gave us a nice bid. And we put that on there, so that is something that's doable. It's not clay tile, it's a composite, looks just like it. It's a lot lighter on the roof, and it looks exactly like clay tile, but it's red. It looks like clay tile. They have them in the California houses. But from the eye, you can't tell that it's not clay tile, and it's not as heavy as it is on the roof, and it's a lot cheaper.
So the material that you're suggesting you use is not an asphalt shingle, it's something else?
Well, the original, because it came up here, the original application, I told him asphalt shingles, and he wrote me back his link and maybe suggest, or, that suggest looking into these type of tiles, and I did. And I told him those will be doable. And he said, we'll just proceed with the meeting as it was, because I never did send him the quote or anything that we got back, but the roofer is gonna use the composite tiles. Look like red clay tiles, but they're not red clay tiles.
Okay.
So we can, if you want to pull up, can you get out of the PowerPoint and pull up the product? So, yes, that's, Dawn's correct. We did send a suggested alternate material that would at least get you, like, we all agree that their tiles are ruined, right?
Yeah.
And that's, we're not in a position where that's feasible, right? And so Matt had sent a suggested product that we felt as staff would at least somewhat mimic what was there. So being respectful of the fact that there was clay tile. So this is the link, I think, that,
Yeah, so we were kind of internally in the office trying to figure out, is there another product that is more affordable than French clay tile, but can still mimic the appearance of it? So we found this product, which is a composite
yeah.
Spanish barrel
yeah.
tile.
So we couldn't find anything French clay tile. So we're abandoning that as so Spanish we felt was close enough.
So we forwarded this link to the applicant and said, hey, maybe consider if this is something that you might want to do. Dawn was going to reach back out to the contractor. In the meantime, I believe you wanted to proceed with the asphalt shingle. And it sounds like, did you get clarification?
I told you I did. And they did give me like a comparable, something that we could deal with, but I didn't have any pictures or anything.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
But as far as the material, we also want to keep with, like, I said, the aesthetics of the neighborhood and everything. We don't want around with the clay
Yeah, up on 15th is
A
beautiful.
few,
Yeah.
there's a few with them.
We really tried, and again, we actually have the top. Yeah, and we don't even know what to do with those tiles now, it's just money.
So if I understand what you're saying, we're abandoning the asphalt shingle. You're proposing that you use something similar to this product so that the roof will appear similar to the current roof.
Don't wanna change the
Okay.
look, we were just
Yeah.
kind of feeling like we were out of options.
Okay. Okay. Any questions from, go ahead, do you want to start, George, and then Bob?
So would the city staff change their recommendation to approval if they changed to this kind of tile?
I think generally if they can keep it in the color family of the original French tile, like the one that Matt's got pulled up right now, I think we'd be willing to change our recommendation on that. There's some details that we need to work through with Dawn as part of that. So if the commission is generally okay leaning this way, we can iron out some of the details. I would also suggest by the commission giving both the petitioner and staff some leeway or a similar type product in case this product's not available or so that they don't have to come back. So they make steel roof product too that would mimic some French tile or Spanish tile. And so I just wanted to see what the commission would think about giving staff the latitude to work with the petitioner on something along those lines.
My recommendation, since this is one of the first kind of roof types that the commission's seen, and we don't want to deny them, because if we deny them, then they've got a calendar working against them. But you're right, there are contemporary products that the commission's not dealt with in asphalt and metal. There's a great example up on the 2600 block of Harrison. I don't know how they did it, but it's beautiful. They just did it about a year and a half ago. Maybe to table this, but have them bring back to us the product so we can see it.
Okay.
Or product ideas. And I know the calendar is starting to work against us a little bit. I don't have a problem with doing a special HPC meeting for these
Okay.
people I think we could be very reactive, but I don't think it's fair to staff to put it kind of on you and say,
Okay.
okay. I think that we need to see the materials before us.
Okay, so Don, if you can work with a contractor and get sample pieces. You do? Okay. Oh, so we will work with and get, how long does it take you, like 5 minutes? Yeah, you're not far away. Do we want to table this for right now in the meeting and we can come back to it later and give them the opportunity to grab the product?
That appears to be the consensus. Yes.
Okay, so just motion
Yeah.
I don't think you need to motion anything. We'll just suspend this conversation and we'll move on to the next item because we have somebody after you. You can go and grab it.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you soon. Okay. In this case, we move on to the third item, case DNRHP 2401. This is a request for demolition of the detached garage at 739 Perry Street. The Roslyn Flats is individually listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Palmer College Foundation is the petitioner, and Greg Gowie is here to speak on their behalf. Matt?
Yes, so the Roslyn Flats, it's a nationally listed historic landmark. It's 13 apartment units, and it's listed on the National Register because it's an example of early 20th century multi-family residential architecture. So Palmer College recently purchased this building for the purpose of having additional student housing next to campus. So they are proposing demolition of a detached garage located behind the apartment building. And that's really to create a more efficient layout for additional tenant parking. So any demolition or partial demolition of a nationally registered property requires review and approval from the commission. So our ordinance doesn't differentiate between the original construction building versus maybe an accessory structure that was built later on. So the commission is to review whether the demolition of the garage is acceptable, and we will not have review authority over any replacement garage or parking lot, so just keep that in mind. So on the left is just a map showing the Roslyn Flats, which abut Perry Street, and then you have the detached garage located behind the apartment building just off of the alley. So that's a photo on the right side. So the structure appears to be a concrete block that was maybe surfaced with stucco at one point in time. So it's currently in a state of deterioration with cracked and failing walls, and it has kind of greenery that's been growing on it and through it. So the building's about 24 feet in depth by 60 feet wide. According to county records, it was built in 1925. So here's just a couple photos just kind of detailing the current condition. And a couple more photos, you can see kind of the side of the wall starting to peel back. So in terms of staff analysis, so the detached garage, it's not referenced on the historic survey form for this site. It's not associated with the master builder or architect, nor is it associated with the construction of the original Roslyn Flats. So the Roslyn Flats was built in an architectural style called Federal Revival. So these design features and building materials were not used on the garage. So there's no historic events or person also associated with that building. And it's not an integral part of the site, nor does it have historic merit on its own standing. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the demolition request with the findings that the detached garage does not meet the criteria to be listed locally as a landmark, and that the detached garage does not embody the architectural style of the original structure.
Thank you, Matt. Comments from commission members? Sir?
The city says it was built in 25, but the applicant said it was built in 47. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like 1925 construction to me, which makes the kind of a decision even easier, but I'm just kind of interested in the discrepancy in dates.
Yeah, we haven't found a reason, like, we don't know exactly why. I mean, Greg's the architect, and I think he's probably more correct than what the city assessor's page shows, so I'm going to defer to Greg.
Greg Gowie, Studio 483 Architects. We did go to the library and looked in the records of the library and found out the original building was built earlier or later. It was started and then it was torn down and then another building permit was applied for in the 40s. So that's the discrepancy, I'm sure, of the concrete block versus what we'd expect to see maybe a brick or a different type of structure.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Greg? Seeing none, could I have a motion?
I move to approve the application.
Second?
I second.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Matt?
Gomez,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Eaton,
Yes.
Hestetti,
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Very good.
Very good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help.
Although it's curious, had that building been there for 100 years, totally different thing. I wonder if we would have thought of this differently. I don't know.
Our research had set a fire, burnt the original structure.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Left of the original structure, I think, was used to maybe do some construction on the new structure. We didn't get into that level of detail.
So that could be part of why the assessor still says 1925 if it was remodeled.
And
Yeah,
I think the 1925, it might have been a 3-car and it was expanded.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you trust but verify the assessor's page. So,
Thank you all.
thanks,
Thank
Greg.
you.
Do we want to take just a recess?
Yes, I
Yeah,
think. you
I
can
move
do-
to we recess for 10 minutes.
Okay,
Second?
very good.
Voice vote.
Yeah.
Voice vote, please. All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Can you guys motion to go back into session?
I move that we go back into session.
Second.
Got a little dusty doing, I was painting the office, so we have all of the materials in the corner, and I couldn't find the plastic sheet. So I was digging through the boxes, hurry up. So, anyway, so I told them just, if we just bring our original tile, but when I find it, I can get it to, I wasn't gonna be able to find it in 2 minutes.
Just wanted to show you the tiles we originally got, if I may. Yeah, I know, the original tiles we got that unfortunately cannot,
So you don't have the example with you today?
unfortunately we do not. We can get it and,
So if it's okay with everybody, what I think we should do is just table and then have the petitioners get this stuff to staff, and then let's just call a special, a meeting of the commission. We'll get a quorum, and we'll get you kind of right-sided in the right direction. If that works for everybody, you think?
Since we have you gentlemen here, is there a specific, we don't have to do it in the evening. I know if you're available during the day, we're flexible on when we have it. So can we have a quick discussion? And it's easier if we can set some, at least have an idea of days and times that work for you, so that we can get this taken care of sooner than later.
Okay. The issue before us clearly is approving what you would like to do and having the staff say they would go ahead and support that. Our concern is maintaining the historical integrity of the community of your area. It sounds like, from what Bob is saying, yes, we want to work with you on this. How quickly will you be able to get the materials to them so that they can have a look at it? Okay,
As soon as you walk home, you're gonna
Like
find
I
it,
said,
right? It's gonna be right there.
it'll be right there. It's right next to the cat.
right, quick question. Is it possible the actual material? Oh, okay.
Okay. Because my understanding is if the staff feels comfortable with what you're proposing and they are willing to give us a green light on this, I think we are going to support that. So at this point, if you can contact or work with Matt and Laura, arrange how you're going to get that over the next few days, and then you will contact us.
We can do that. Do you want to stick to evening, or do you have any preference at all?
I'm very flexible.
So normally I work 8 to 4:30.
Okay.
But this week I'm off Thursday and Friday, and then next week I'm off Monday, so I can flex
Okay.
during
A little
those
bit.
days.
Okay,
My
anybody?
only evening that doesn't work is Thursday, the 19th.
Okay,
I'm good any other time, and I'm good most days. I'm retired.
okay.
Okay.
I'm out of town on Friday. During the day, I can get away Monday, Tuesday, Friday normally, not Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay,
And any evening, 5 o'clock is fine.
okay. So with that knowledge, we'll figure out, we'll send you some dates and times, and we'll get enough people that you can have a decision made. If you can find the product, even if Matt and I are not at Public Works, it's open. Just tell them to leave it with Matt, and then we'll reach out and have a conversation with you guys, and we'll be as flexible as we possibly can. So by state law, we have to post it at least 24 hours. So, just so that we're meeting our state law requirements. So won't be tomorrow, but we'll work with you on some times.
Do we currently have a motion to postpone,
We do not.
to
I'll
table
make a
this?
motion to table.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Very good. Is that a voice vote or simply?
You can do a voice vote.
Okay, all those in favor of postponing until staff tells us we're ready to act? Aye. Aye? Okay. Thank you. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon, right, to get this taken care of, right. Now, we had originally planned to do some
Introductions.
But-
Thank you very much. We'll reach out to you. You can go home. Yeah.
Should we do that? Maybe
Thank you.
You're going to be talking to Bob. Or should we wait until Chris and Diane are
So
here?
Diane will be unavailable for a little bit.
Okay. Well, then, sure. Why don't you guys go ahead? And,
We can always, when the other two are here, we'll definitely introduce you to them as well.
Yes.
Dave, you want to start?
Sure. Right here without the microphone. But, oh, the taping, okay. Hello, Davenport. I grew up in Michigan, joined the Navy, 1983. I retired, moved here because there's a lot of jobs here. And I wanted to live in a smaller town, yet not too small. I've lived here since 2005, live in Northwest Davenport. Truthfully, the reason I got on the commission is early this spring, guys were sitting around and I was lamenting the government, and one of the guys said, well, what are you doing? And I said, complaining? And so then, right after that, I can't remember whether it was Kyle Gripp's Facebook or somewhere, I got a thing, hey, we're looking for people to join commissions, and I was like, oh geez, I gotta do this now. So I put in for a couple of them, didn't really think much about it, and then Mayor Mattson called me maybe 2 months ago, asked me was I still available. I said yes, and then Matt tried to email me when I was on vacation, finally got back to him. One of the reasons I put in for historic preservation, I grew up in a small village in Michigan, but it was a lumber town. So the downtown area, which is only like 4 blocks by 6 blocks, has like 15 amazing houses in it. And then being in the Navy, I've been to a lot of the great cities that are by, I've seen the architecture. I think it's very important. And then truthfully, until this, I driven by places in Davenport, never really understood. I didn't know where the Hamburg district was until, what was it, Wednesday? And now I've driven all through it, so that's my story for me.
Thanks, David. George?
My name is George Eaton. I am not from this area at all, but I happened to go to college in Galesburg at Knox College. I majored with a double major in theater and history. Then I was there on ROTC, so I joined the Army and spent 21 years on active duty. My last, along that way, I got in, I have 3 master's degrees. I don't have the right box top to get my PhD. But so one of those it was in military history, and I went and taught at West Point. I taught military history at West Point for 3 years. Then I came here, my last duty assignment, And then a year after I retired from active duty, I got hired on as the historian for the command on the Arsenal. And I spent 20 years working as a historian on the Arsenal. And because of that, I had a lot, my fingers in a lot in specifically Quarters 1, National Historic Landmark, but also in all the old historic district there. And I was a constant reference point to the Public Works Department on history of the buildings and things like that. And then sort of the same thing. I'm retired now, and I spent 2.5 years renovating my cabin in Minnesota, and now I'm done with that. So I had a little more free time in my hand, and the same sort of thing. I think I saw a note from Michael about the Historic Preservation Commission, and I decided to apply. And so here we are. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you, George. George was too modest to say that he's also a heck of a teacher. No, he gave presentations at the museum for a number of groups that I was in, and you made the history come alive, which was really great. It wasn't just dusty artifacts. And our last, but important.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
So I'm Jeff Gomez. I live in the Hamburg district. I got involved in historic preservation young. I have an aunt and uncle who had restored a riverboat captain's house in LeClaire. And so I just remember watching them go through that process, and they had restored several houses even after that. So always been kind of fascinated with it. And I sometimes joke that my mom used to work for community healthcare when it was in the Bicentennial Building up on the top floor. And her office looked out over the Gold Coast. And I always thought of living in that area when I grew up. Well, I am in that area. I just thought I would be further up the bluff than what I am. Anyway, but love where I'm at. Have worked through having to come to this commission many times. My partner and I own multiple properties in the Gold Coast. And so I've always said, if you have your research and your ducks in a row and you come here, I always thought the commission was reasonable. If you were not prepared, then that's where the bumps started. So I've always, even with our most recent project, some things that we thought of, but then came out of the commission, made maybe a little more sense, or it was a good solution to whatever the next steps needed to be. So how did I get actually on the commission? I received an email. I can't tell you who, I can't remember where it came from, but then Diane Franken had reached out to me also. So I kind of forgot about the email, and then Diane sent me a text saying, hey, where are you on this? And so that's when I submitted my application right away before it left my head again. So anyway, I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you.
Do you want to give a little bit of background on yourselves, Bob and Michael?
You're up, Bob.
I'm Bob McGivern. I'm a real estate appraiser. Been active in the community for some time. Actually, my first commission was Housing Appeals Board. Mayor Gibbs put me on, and that led to me running for council. And I was on the city council for 6 years. It was a great time. The 53rd Elmore Schmid was my idea. I think it was a great Schmid, and talking about that earlier. So yeah, it was a great time. And then Mayor Gluba asked me to sit on HPC because he wanted somebody with real estate background, and I told him no. And then John Free, who was a previous chair and just a very good friend of mine, talked me into it. And I have done a small historic tax credit renovation or property, first apartment building built north of Central Park with a built-in garage feature in the city of Davenport. Renovated that, and so that was a learning experience. And so I've enjoyed my time on the commission, and just a little part of public service without the phone calls.
Yeah, Bob has been a very important member of this commission. The limited time I've been on the commission, your leadership early on as the chair. but also you bring so much experience, both within the city and within the real estate community. So really appreciate your work here. I came to this, I retired, and I was looking for something to do, to go with other things. And I've always been interested in historic preservation. My wife and I have been members of National Trust for decades. We do not own a historic home, except that it was built in 1948. Brick bungalow, trying to maintain that. But I am concerned about the city of Davenport and the absolutely gorgeous housing cachet that we have. I mean, it's just, we are so fortunate. And so when I heard about this, and I think maybe it was through Christine that there were openings on the board, this is a couple of years ago now, I thought, well, maybe I'll try this. And it has been a terrific learning experience, and all of you have seen the packet now. My first months on this commission, I would read all this stuff. Not because Matt said I had to, but because it was so interesting. And especially, for example, when the Marycrest property came up for some things, there's a ton of material there. I worked there for almost 20 years, so I knew the buildings, but I didn't know all that history. And I'm finding now, as I'm reading about these other homes, it just reemphasizes for me what a wonderful place we live in, because we have so much to be proud of if we keep it. So, and I appreciate the staff, because they're the ones that actually are doing the heavy lifting in all this. So that's it. Bob? There's no open comment, obviously no one is here. I'll tender a motion for adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. And we're done.
Better done.